From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBICD PrimeTime Capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you are feeling the same. And boy, oh boy, it is a good day today. It is the Thursday night football day today. So let's go ahead and jump into that. And what do we have here? We got ourselves the Dolphins and the Bengals. The Dolphins and the Bengals, both these teams coming in here, going two different directions, and you would say, right? But we are still very early in the season. You have a 3-0 Dolphins team, and you have a 1-2 Bengals team. You have a Dolphins team coming in here, fresh off a very emotional victory in Miami versus the Buffalo Bills, who were the favorite to win that division as well too this year. But and favored to win that game, they wound up getting a pretty good win against them. But you start looking at the stats, you say to yourself, Tua is off the hook right now. Dolphins got you kind of by surprise with the 27.7, pretty much 28 points a game. They're allowing 21 points a game. That's a Midland defense right there. And then you also have the yards per game that they are gaining. That's 372.3. And also they are number 2 in the NFL when it comes to pass yards, 308.3. But they would want to get better in the running game. And that's where I say that Miami is a little bit of a smoke and mirrors 3-0. You still hope this team will make the playoffs at the end of the year. They haven't been able to get to the quarterback that well this year either. They're only averaging about 2 sacks. They got 6 sacks on the season. That's good for 22nd in the league, and they only got 1 pick. So that defense is a bender, don't break defense. They're not giving up a lot of yardage and things like that, but they want to be better. And I think that Tua's start has just been incredible. 72 completions over 101 passes, and then 71.3 completion rate with 925 passing yards. And as I said before, he's averaging 308.3, and he has 8 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Also, funny thing is he hasn't had to run the ball much, but they were expecting more from Mozart as well too. So I think that at the end of the day, the Dolphins are going to be a team that nobody really feels like is going to really win this game, because the Bengals are a very overhyped team. You have to understand that part. The Bengals are very, very overhyped, in my opinion. I think that all in all, that the Bengals, though, tonight in a big spot like this one, when you're playing at home, it's a Sunday night, it's a Thursday night national game. I think this one actually plays out very well for him in a sense. You know, Joe Burrow, 812 yards on the season, 64% completion rate, 80 completions over 125 attempts, 6 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, QB rating of 85.2. And Burrow is their second leading rusher as well too. They got to get Joe Mixon going. He only has 163 yards on the year, but yeah, they're going to have to get him going, because he has pretty much 266 in total with receiving yards and rushing yards. But I think they got to get Joe Mixon in the mix a little bit more. And I think they need a little bit more from Samaje Perine as well. So when I look at their numbers really are saying to me that they need that this could be the game where they can fix some things, get things right. And I think that since it's going to be at home, they'll be fully focused on trying to make big moves. They're 10th in the league in scoring. They're only giving up less than 20 points a game. That's good for the top 10 this year as well too. Also, they are 16th, but they're not that far behind in yards per game, and they're averaging 270 yards pass yards per game as well too. And then also, you know, they're doing decent in the running game. They're almost getting 100 a game, and time of possession is where they're where it's key at. They're number 1 in that stat. But all in all, both these defense could do a little bit more this year, even though the Bengals have been the better defense out these two teams. So that's what it is right there. And pretty much that's what it's going to be. The Dolphins and the Bengals tonight. I do say expect a really good game, and I expect this game to be a very, very popular game on the Twitter. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, and we'll just go from there. Now let's go ahead and jump into pretty much what we're gonna the early part of the Saturday, pretty much. But some of these games are gonna be played today and tomorrow. But let's first jump off with the AAC bets list, and we do have ourselves, and we're gonna go with the Power Five. I like Tulane in their spot. That's a toss 'em up game in my opinion. So I'm taking Tulane, and Tulane did beat Houston last season, so I do like the way that we set that one up. Also, we have Temple. Temple has always played Memphis very well. This is a possible. This could possibly be a upset in a sense as well too. I know it's a big number right there, but you have to understand the American Athletic Conference does yield these type of upsets. And then we got South Florida as our big enchilada this week with the plus 260 going against East Carolina at home. I think that this team can be really good in this spot. They did play a good game against Florida, losing by 3, and then also, but they came back around, got smoked by Louisville, but that was expected. So I do like them coming into this game. So I'm going to take South Florida with the plus 260. Then we have the under 58.5 with Cincinnati and Tulsa. And I like this one a lot too. I think that Cincy keeps the game very formful, and it's going to be a simple game. I think they wind up getting like a 27-13 win here. So I'm taking them with the under 58.5. And then we have SMU with the plus 135 as well. So I think that this one is one that you can go either way in the spot, but I like UCF a lot here. And actually, that game is going to be played on Sunday because the issues that are going on in Florida. But that game possibly, I would say this, I would more expect that game to be canceled or postponed until the end of the year, because you got to do the right thing by the kids. You got to do the right thing by the city and all that good stuff. At this point in time, football is not important. It's the safety of the citizens of the state of Florida. So, and a shout out to everybody who's dealing with Hurricane Ian right now. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our next topic in hand, and that's going to be the ACC. And in the ACC, and I said Power 5, so let me go ahead and get to it the right way, because I said the Power 5 and already featured a mid-major team. So let's go ahead and we'll jump into this ACC bets list, plus 15.5 to BC. Then we're going to go the under 65.5 with Wake Forest and Florida State. I like UNC in their spot with the -9 as well. I like Clemson to have a good win over NC State with the 6.5. I love Virginia against Duke with the plus 135. I know a lot of people still looking at how Duke smashed up on Northwestern, but Virginia's better than Northwestern, so I'll take the plus 135 on them. And then I have the 48.5 to G-Tech in Pitt. I'm just going with this because G-Tech got a brand new coach, and I know that they're going to open up the playbook a little bit more. And I know Pitt is going to be Pitt already balls out at home, so we'll see how it goes. I think that the over 48.5 is a very strong play. All right, we move on. Let's go ahead and talk about the Big 12 bets list. The Big 12 bets list is going to be the plus 7.5 to Texas Tech, the over 68.5 to Oklahoma and TCU. Then Kansas, first time in like 13 years, they're 4-0. This is from the Aqib Talib era, to be exact, too. That's hilarious. So it's plus 135 to Kansas in this spot. Then Baylor's playing in the big game of the weekend against OK State. I'm taking them with the minus 140. And then you have Texas that I think should roll after a bad loss to Texas Tech, but I think they should roll on Saturday with the 9.5 point spread. So that's where I'm going with that one. Now let's check out the Big Ten. And in the Big Ten, yeah, we got some good games going here in the Big Ten. The plus 10.5 to Iowa in the Michigan game. I think that's a very good spot. And then also, quick take on the under. Now, FSU under with Wake, I feel like it's going to be a good competitive game. And the way that Florida State's defense is playing this season, they're playing on another level. And I think that Wake Forest knows that they have a decent team. So they're going to be playing. They're not going to play. They're not going to be playing mistake ball. Okay, they're not looking. It's not going to be any of that. Okay, it's going to be a game that's going to come down to whoever wants it more in the end. And I don't think that this game calls for it to be an over. I think that it calls for it to be a classic ACC under, in my opinion. So that's where I'm going with that one, champ. All right, so We have the over 51.5 with the Purdue and Minnesota. Then we also have the -7 with Wisconsin, and also the +8.5 with Michigan State, and then the +25.5 with Northwestern. Then we go ahead and we have the under 60.5 with Indiana and Nebraska today. So that's going to be our Big Ten's bet list right there. And I like the over in the Purdue-Minnesota game because Minnesota's scoring a lot more points than they usually do. And I like the under in the Indiana-Nebraska game because both those teams are just to me, they're not going to score points. Okay, so there it is. So it's that simple. And the rest of it, Michigan State, possible upset. Iowa, possible upset. Northwestern will stick around. So that's why I got the 3 pluses up there. And Wisconsin wants to get some get right this week. So I got them for sure coming back with a big, big spot this week as well, too. All right. This is what we're going to look at before we go in for our next break. And actually, let me go ahead and just jump to it, and we'll go ahead and we'll feature all y'all favorite conference real quick before. So since it's a power group, and then I'll bring in the Pac-12 in the other group. So we got the SEC. SEC, we got a 9. Kentucky is undefeated, top 10 ranked, and they are a big dog going into their game. But it's very understandable because they're playing against a team that it's going to be tough to beat. So I think that they're going to be on the money for us once again, just like they were in the Florida game. And I'm going to go ahead and take Kentucky to go ahead and get us a nice victory in this spot over Mississippi. Now, Mississippi is going to be tough because they do got to go to Oxford to play them, but I trust the number 17 team in the nation against a team that's very focused on just offense only, in my opinion. And then we have Alabama and Arkansas. I think that this is a upset alert game for Alabama. Alabama has not been, after watching them play in the Texas game, they can be beat. That's how I feel with them this year. They have a really good quarterback in Bryce, but I think that Bryce is since he's undersized, is always a chance to beat him. So I think that Arkansas, if they play a very focused game and they play somewhat perfect, I think that they'll have a big shot on actually winning this game. So the +17.5, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. But this should be another good spot for us as well, too. And then we have the 17. Then we have Texas and Mississippi State. I like Mississippi State here. I'm going to have to overspend. Texas A&M is an overrated team. I just don't like dealing with them at this point. They really messed us up in that game that they lost earlier this year to a Sun Belt team of all teams. So at the end of the day, I don't really care what Texas A&M is going to do. I think Mississippi State would just be that much better on Saturday. And then we have LSU and Auburn. This is a good little rivalry game and everything like that. It's going to be a late ESPN game as well, too. So it should be a lot of fun. LSU coming in as an 8.5-point favorite. I think that the under plays up because the under has always been significant in the LSU Auburn game, and I think that we'll get it once again. And then we have Georgia and Missouri. Georgia and Missouri, this is going to be a good spot. I think we're going to go over 54.5 here. Georgia's offense is going to open it up in this spot. And Missouri, it's going to be tough for them to score, but they'll get a few touchdowns late in the game. So that's why I'm going with this one like that. So we're going to go ahead and we wrap up the SEC. And then when I get back, we're going to go through the next 5 conferences here. And most of them are going to be the mid-conferences and the Pac-12. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper. And I'll be right back at you in a 2 and 2.
Daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash, and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we're back with the NFL Bet Exchange. Oh, well, shit, man. I'm sorry. We're back with the PrimeTime Angles live sitting right there in the corner. My bad, y'all. So, I got a lot of shows, bro. I got a lot of shows. That's all I can say. All right, so we got the mid Power Five, the next five up. I didn't want to overload you guys here in the beginning with it, but I got all the conferences that matter up here. So let's go ahead and jump into it. And what do we have here? Okay, we already went through Big Ten. Conference USA, we got to San Antonio, 4.5 spot here on the road. I like the way that they go into this game. It's going to be a toughie, but I think that they go ahead and get themselves a nice win. North Texas, another very dangerous team in the Conference USA. They are the dog, but I think they keep this game close, and it does end in a field goal. Either they win or they lose. It's that simple, but it will only be by 3. So hopefully we'll go ahead and get that other side so we don't have to worry about them winning. We just need to worry about them covering. All right, and then we got UTEP that's in a spot. UTEP is feeling themselves very, very much. And thank you. Oh, I appreciate you, nephew. Thank you. I love this mic as well, too. Samson, you guys go ahead and check him out. Great mic. I got it from Best Buy. UTEP minus 140. This is going to be good. This is going to be some good stuff going on with this one. I think that UTEP is in a prime spot to keep moving forward. That was a big win last week against big upset win as well, too. And we did have them on the cover, and they did go ahead and beat Boise State. Now, that was a big win for them, but moving forward, though, they got bigger plans than that. So we'll see how it goes, see how it shakes out. And then we got the UAB Rice game as well, too. You could say, okay, this could be maybe a trap for UAB, but I doubt it. So I'm going to go ahead and take UAB to probably win this game by 2 touchdowns or better. But I think the under is going to be the play because UAB's defense is too legit to quit, man. I'm telling you right now. That defense can really, really play some ball. I know that they gave up some points to Liberty and Georgia State, but that's different because those teams are really, really good. Now, when it comes down to playing Rice, a team that is biggest point outage against a team that had a pulse was, 27, then I think UAB has a good shot here. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, though. All right, so we move on. Let's go ahead and jump into our next spot, which is going to be a good one, the Aac Bets list. We got the Ball State plus 135 money line. Also, we have the plus 8.5 with Akron as well, too. And then we have the plus 11 with Ohio. And then also we have the over 46 with Central Michigan and Toledo. And then we end up with Buffalo at minus 120 in a toss-em-up game. Now, the money line games are 2 games that are toss-em-up games. That's why they're put in the position that they're put in. So pretty much that's how we're going to do it. That's how we're going to fold it up. And the Aac Bets list, here we go. It's going to be another good one. And then we move forward, and let's go ahead and talk about the Mountain West. The Mountain West, we got a game with Utah State tonight. I got the plus 24.5 on Utah State. I know a lot of people like BYU, but y'all got to understand, Utah is a very, very, what do I want to say? It's a very territorial state. And you have to understand that these boys are from – this is an all-Utah game right here. So a lot of these guys play high school football against each other, went to church with each other, all that good stuff. And Utah State is just kind of got to the party and everything like that for Division I. But that doesn't mean anything. They still confident from that big win they got last year in the in the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl, the LA Bowl. So, that team is not good this year, but still they're going against an interstate rival and they're going to show up. They may not win, but they're not going to just sit there and just get rolled over. I don't think they want their fans to come out there and watch them get embarrassed like that. Then we got San Diego State and Boise State in a matchup of 2 of the most overrated teams in the conference. And I think that this one actually winds up being an over game, even though a lot of people don't expect that. I expect it to be an over. So I'm taking the over 39 with San Diego State and Boise State. And then we have the under 43.5 with New Mexico and UNLV. This is a tricky game. Don't think UNLV is an absolute sure shot to win this game. I remember one year New Mexico was really bad, and they wound up dropping 50 on a UNLV team that was a favorite by, I think, like 2 touchdowns. And I had New Mexico that day heavy. So don't trust the line when it comes to New Mexico UNLV. This is their biggest rival in the football sense of things. So this is going to be another good game. So I like the under 43.5 because I don't see either one of these teams scoring that much. I see a lot of mistakes getting made on both sides. And then you got Wyoming. Wyoming's in a good spot. They're going against a team where they present a very unique matchup for them, but that means absolutely nothing. They got to get down to the get down, and I think that they'll be a lot better than San Jose State. San Jose State hasn't showed me much this year. Yeah, they got a good win over Portland State, and they got a good win over Western Michigan, but then they lose by 8 to Auburn. So I know they were really good a few years back, but it's always a tough bag going to Laramie. So I'm taking the Wyoming with the plus 125. I think that we should be good in this spot. All right, we move on, and let's go ahead and jump into our next spot. It's going to be the Pac-12. It's going to be the under 64.5 with Washington and UCLA Friday night game. Then we got Utah in their game going against a very tricky. They're in a tricky spot, but I think that Utah is disciplined enough to not fall for any of the pageantries. I think that they find a way and beat Oregon State, even though it's a good game between 2, 3-1 teams. I think they beat them by 2 touchdowns or better. Then you have the California game with Cal. Sorry, I don't have some. I should have something up here. This was going to actually be like a Cal over game or something like that, but I'll fix it for you guys for later. But from what I can see here, from how I like it, I think I'm going to go ahead and take the under 53.5 in this spot because Cal doesn't score a lot of points, and Washington State, they scored a lot of points last week, but that was because that was more of an emotional game against an Oregon team that they knew they had to turn up against. This team right here, they just had to do enough to win. So there it is with Washington State and Cal. Sorry about that. It should have been in the group. And then we got Colorado. I got them with the plus 17.5. Arizona's not good. And Colorado's not good, but Arizona's not good enough for a 17.5 point spread. I'm sorry. And then you have Arizona State and USC, which will probably be the matchup that a lot of people already see as something that's going to be a one-sided affair. I think that they do have a good point to that, but I think that the over 60.5 is a better play than the 25.5 on USC. And then we got Stanford, who always presents some issues to Oregon, so I'm going to take them with the plus 17 in this spot. There's a lot of heavy dogs in the Pac-12 this week. That always presents some good money for people that want to go with the doggies, but not in the sense of them winning, but in the sense of them covering. All right, so we move on. Let's go ahead and talk about the Sun Belt. The Sun Belt only has a few games. We got the plus 10.5 with Georgia Southern. Then we have the over 47.5 with Alabama and Louisiana Lafayette. And then we got the plus 7 with Louisiana Monroe. So that should be a good spot. Single what you like, talking tickets. You know how it goes. All right. Let's move on and let's get into talking tickets. And talking tickets up first, we got today. We got the MLB PrimeTime Pick 6 final week of baseball. We got the 73-1 with the over 6.5 with the Rays and the Guardians. Then we got the Marlins plus 140. Then we got the plus 1.5 with the A's. And then we got the under 7 with the Rangers and the Mariners. And then we got the Padres money line plus 115. And then we got the minus 1.5 with the Giants. And as I always say, single what you like, 73-1. And we got those talking tickets for you once again. All right. We move on, and here we are, 34. Here we are, Utah State at BYU Bets. We have the plus 24.5 to Utah State tonight. I'm going under 31.5 with the first half. I'm also picking Utah State to be ahead in the first quarter with the plus 350. So all we need them to be is up 3-0, and we can get 350 home. And then we finish up with the team total. All they got to do is score a point. So if they get a safety, we get a cash ticket. So they're really saying this game is going to be lopsided. I don't believe that. So I think that Utah State's going to shock the system a little bit in the first quarter, and that's going to be about it. So There it goes. There it goes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. That's what we do when it comes down to the world famous conference bets list for college football and college basketball. It's just we had to get conference games going. That's all it is. All right, so that's where we're going with Utah State and with BYU. All right, so let's go ahead and we have the TNF bets tonight. We got the Bengals money line minus 195. Then we got the under 23.5 first half for the game. We also have the Bengals with the minus with the half a point plus 110 first quarter. And then we got the Bengals over 11 team total. So there it is. Single what you like, Talkin Tickets. And that's going to be our Thursday night football bets for you with the Bengals and the Dolphins. And it looks like, and as you can see, we're going real Bengals heavy. It seems like everybody's on the Bengals, and it's understandably so. It's just way too early in the week for the Dolphins, and the Dolphins' injuries have been racking up a lot lately. So, it's just hard to trust them in the spot. Even though they're the 3-0 team, prove to us that you're a real 3-0 team and it wasn't a fluke. Because really, when you look at it, their only win that you can look at and say, okay, this was the win that they really got and they really dominated was the opening win. Like the week 2, they could have easily lost. Baltimore's defense kind of crumbled. And in week 3, they could have easily lost if they say the sun didn't kill the Bills' momentum there in the last 10 minutes of the fourth quarter. So, at the end of the day, some teams luck into 3-0. And I think that the Dolphins are one of them, and they're going to have to show us tonight that it's for real. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to show us that your coach, who looks very non-head coachy, is the real deal, and not just somebody who's kind of just taking advantage of the moment. You know what I mean? We're going to see how it goes, though. It's going to be a great game between two really good coaches, two really good quarterbacks, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But other than that, it's another great episode of the PrimeTime Angles Live, and I thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll go ahead and I have this ready for you guys on the Instagram as well, too, on my story and on my page. So you guys make sure to check that out. Share that as well, too. You guys retweet this on the Twitter. You guys share it off the YouTube, and you guys share it off the Facebook as well, too. Come on, man. Let's get the views up. Let's get all that up, and I might start giving away stuff. All right? So let's get it. Let's do it. And it's your boy, one and only, Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and this is the PrimeTime Angles Live. As I always say, feeling good, feeling great, and the movement is moving. And, man, bet with your head, not with your heart. The premier sports betting show, once again, the PrimeTime Angles Live. And you guys will be back to you tomorrow. And catch me at 4 p.m. with my man, Mike Abadir. And we'll be talking some more sports. So catch us on America Radio. I'll go ahead and tweet it out. But catch us on American Radio at 4 o'clock. I'll be on his show from 4 to 5 today as well, too. So I'll be ready, baby. I'll be waiting, okay? It's your boy, the one and only, Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Kappa, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.